I just took a little time this morning to dig out a few more scriptures on tent making. I didn't have that many in the text because it's more on building a financial support base based upon the responsibility of the church and the people of God to expand the kingdom. Most of the time you see Paul dealing with tent making in the New Testament, he's dealing with it almost from a negative side, saying, because of your sensitivity and your conscience, I will make tents. I will work with my hands. He just about every time implies that he has the right to make a living from ministering to the people. But his love, his perspective of love, I don't want to be a stumbling block to anyone. So I'm going to make tents. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to do whatever it takes, that you will not be burdened and that you won't misjudge the character of the Lord or this new gospel that I'm preaching. But he keeps saying, the laborer is worthy of his wages. Don't muzzle the ox while he's working in the fields, which is an Old Testament scripture. If the finances are not flowing and you have some basic needs, you may have to do some tent making. I probably, for about the first, at least 3 years, maybe 4 years, I did tent making here. And my tent making was I refinished antiques and built furniture on Saturdays. So I could put in about 10 hours on a Saturday. We had off, and I could make maybe $100, just depending on how it went. Kind of got us through. We had no support coming in. I'm sure we could get by on nothing. I remember it was scrimping to the bottom of the barrel to get $1.49 to buy a little jar of instant coffee. It's just, you can get by with a lot less. You know that. And there is a reason. I'm saying this. There is a place that we will do without and do with less, that we do not disgrace the name of the Lord. If you don't have the finances that you need to really have the latest or the best, and I'm not saying the latest and best is wrong or good. It's just God's liberty to you. But you may do without. And Paul goes into this exhortation on God's provision. Now, he says, not that I speak from a want, for I have learned to be content in whatever circumstances I am in. I know how to get along with humble means, and I also know how to live in prosperity. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of being filled and going hungry, both of having an abundance and suffering need. Now, this scripture, in the context, listen to the next scripture. It's a very popular scripture. I can do all things through Him who strengthens me. Paul was saying right there, he says, I know how to live in humble means. We know how he lives in humble means. He lived with the shirt on his back slashed from 40 save 1 stripes. The sleepless nights. In Titus he talks about working night and day, that he would be a burden to no one. But he says, I can do all things. And I think that's an attitude and an approach we have to the ministry and to the calling of God. You may not be able to have a brand new pair of Nikes the rest of your Christian life. But the motivating drive in our heart has to be, Lord, I'm going to serve you. I'm going in the direction you're calling. If they all forsake me, you won't forsake me.